Imagine a clear, breezy day. The sky is blue and the trees are dancing in the wind. Your guests are arriving right as you are strategically placing the last rainbow-colored egg under a tree for the children to find, and everyone is dressed in their finest attire. A man comes out dressed in a bunny suit and the children go crazy. What's happening in this setting? It's the celebration of Easter. But have you ever stopped to think, how did this age-old tradition start? And what is the significance of the egg and the bunny? The origins of Easter and other holidays like Halloween and Valentine's Day can be traced back to ancient mythology and pagan practices. Participants either view it as a religious or social or secular affair. It can be eye-opening for a person to see the root of these holidays passed off today as Christian celebrations. If you look into the history, you will find the true meaning of Easter. Easter's traditions are based on ancient fertility rites. The English name Easter is linked to different origins. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, it can be derived from the 8th century spring goddess Eostre, or linked to the Phoenician fertility goddess Astarte, also known as the Babylonian counterpart Ishtar. The emblems derive from a celebration of the returning of spring. According to the Catholic Encyclopedia, a rabbit is a pagan symbol and has always been an emblem of fertility. The egg is an emblem of the sprouting life of an early spring. It is also considered bad luck if one were to greet this goddess of spring, Istra, in anything but their finest attire. And that information comes from the Giant Book of Superstitions. Now I'd like to consider the origin of Halloween, and I have a printout of the timeline of the history of Halloween. Halloween is pagan and deeply rooted in ancient ancestor worship. It's widely known in the United States, but it corresponds with other celebrations around the world that have similar themes. In Catholic countries, the dead are believed to return to their former homes on All Saints' Day and partake of the food of the living. And a Buddhist event called Odon commemorates spirits of their ancestors returning as well. Halloween is related to the prospect of the contact with spirit forces, many which threaten and frighten people. The customs and symbols of Halloween also date to ancient times as well. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, the medieval Celts had festivals for two major gods, the sun god and the god of the dead. The Celts would try to appease these wicked spirits with sweets. They wore frightening masks to trick the evil spirits into thinking that they were also spirits so that they would leave them alone. The Celts carved turnips and lit them with candles and displayed them to repel evil spirits. Today, the custom is to use a pumpkin. Finally, that information comes from the book Halloween, An American Holiday and American History. And finally, I'd like to review Valentine's Day. The customs of Valentine's Day come from ancient Roman festival. This festival is called Lupercalia, and it also took place on February the 15th. According to the World Book Encyclopedia, this festival honored the goddess Juno. She was the goddess of women and the goddess of marriage. And in Greek, Lupercalia honored Pan, and Pan was the goddess of nature. Valentine's Day is more commonly known to be linked to the fest of Saint Valentine. So many of the holidays of our times have pagan origins. Easter celebration of a fertility god, Halloween, worship of the dead by communication with spirits, and Valentine's Day, which originates from Roman festivals in honor of mythological god and goddesses. If we were to take a visit to our local library, it would be very interesting to see what reference books say about popular holidays today. This knowledge may even alter your perspective about participating in certain celebrations. It has absolutely done that for me. Does anyone have any questions about this information?
I have a question about Halloween.
Yes.
When did Halloween as we know it get its start?
Well, looking at the timeline of the history of Halloween that I handed out, it looks like in the 11th century CE, when the Roman Catholics were observing All Saints' Day, it was the counterpart was called Hallowtide, and it wasn't until the 18th century that the word Halloween was printed and brought to the United States, which now is we know it as the celebration of Halloween. Yes, Adriana.
I always thought, this is a question about Valentine's Day, I always thought it was a martyr writing love letters to his love whenever he was imprisoned. Is that related to the real origins of Valentine's Day?
Well, in my research on Valentine's, some researchers thought that Lupercalia was linked to Valentine, but then there were other researchers that discredited that notion. And I couldn't find anywhere where the story of Saint Valentine was an actual occurrence, or if it was also a mythological story that was passed down through the Roman Catholic Church. So, well, yes, Shane?
Do they always call it Halloween? What other kind of like names do they call Halloween?
Well, when the Celts were the traditions of the Celts in regards to Halloween, they called it Samhain, and today actually the group called the Wiccans, these people are witches and they practice superstition. They follow the traditions of the Celts and they still celebrate Samhain, which we know is Halloween. They correspond with each other. So, well, thank you for your time and your attention.